afternoon. Thank you, John, for inviting me. I've been teaching how to deliver great guest service for almost 30 years, and how do we create this magical Mendocino guest experience? That's the ticket, absolutely. So I created this model, the service leadership model, and it's comprised of principles and values. And I chose two graphic symbols, the triangle and the circle, to illustrate this. I chose the triangle because the Native Americans pictured the conscience as a triangle. And they said, as we go through life, this triangle spins. And if we live our principles and values, and as we encounter difficult situations, the edges of the triangle cut into those situations, and hence our values and principles are lived. But if we go through life and we don't live these important principles and values, and as that triangle spins, and as we encounter difficult situations, the edges of the triangle grind down. Hence, the conscience shrinks. So to live these important principles and values means we're filled up with the spirit of life. And when we don't, we tend to shrink as people. Well, the first important principle is core values. A value establishes for a person a standard upon which important decisions are made, the how and the what of decisions. So whether you realize it or not, many decisions that we make truly stem from these important values. They shape our performance. The next principle is engagement. Engagement with our guests, engagement with our fellow associates. It's a more powerful word for communication. And then the next leg of that triangle is problem-solving discipline. All good service leaders have the discipline to continually problem solve, to solve those problems when they're small and not wait till they grow to something huge. I've interviewed many service leaders, and one of the principles of great service is simple rules as a driving force. Simple rules as a driving force. Find those rules that have the most impact in really delivering that great guest service. Fidel Baucio created Bon Appetit Management Company many years ago with a few simple rules. Fresh, seasonal food, batch cooking. At that time in institutional food service, people were going to the freezer to get a box or open up a can and put it in a steam table. Simple rules as a driving force. I interviewed the late Dick Swig, chairman of the Fairmont Hotel Group, and asked him, how do you evaluate one of your managers, whether he or she is really on top of managing his or her hotel? And he says, well, I go on tour, and I notice how many names does that manager know of employees and guests. And he says, that's my barometer. I just got back from New York City, and I encountered a wonderful concept called prêt-à-manger. They have a simple rule: made today, gone today. Everything is fresh. Anything that's left over, they donate it to a homeless shelter. I mean, as they say, it's the right thing to do. Simple rules as a driving force. Other principles, egalitarianism. Everybody's job is important. When you're running a hotel, restaurant, etc., you can't have a star server or a star front desk person and think, oh, everyone else is my supporting cast. No, you need the entire team to really deliver that great service. And commitment to guest enthusiasm. Well, this is one of the most beautiful glasses of beer that's ever been created. Now, what happens when you order a Guinness? The bartender just doesn't pour it right away. They pour a little bit, and then it settles. Pours a little bit more, and it settles. And what happens within that guest? Anticipation. Oh, you can't wait to have that glass of Guinness. It's absolutely wonderful. So therefore, what are the things that you do to have our guests wildly enthusiastic about service? That's what we need to create. And then defining mission through teamwork. You need everybody. And then great service leaders have what I call bifocal vision. They know here's where we are, this is the micro, and here's where we have to go, what's the macro? And they go back and forth almost on a simultaneous basis to really deliver that great service. Well, if you live these principles and values, you have quality of life, a real balance to your life. Giving service really comes back and fulfills your soul as a person. And then integrity. Integrity is a concept about how you live. Integrity is not like a light switch you turn on and off. No, it's something that you really believe in on a continual basis of how you choose to live your life. Well, I want to take one part of the service leadership model, and that's core values. Gandhi says it best. Mahatma means the great soul. And he said, keep my words positive. Words become my behaviors. Keep my behaviors positive. Behaviors become my habits. Keep my habits positive. Habits become my values. Keep my values positive. Values become my destiny. There is no dress rehearsal. This is one day in your life. When guests come into your restaurant or inn, they open their arms, they close their eyes, they say, take me! I'm yours! Make me feel great! I mean, just think about coming up to Mendocino, you're driving on that 128, you're going in this windy road, and if you got a couple of kids, maybe you have to stop off to the side of the road because they're throwing up and everything else. And so you come up, and you're bedraggled, and you're frustrated, but then you see this wonderful smile. And maybe a warm fire, a beautiful fire, and then a freshly prepared plate of food. Well, that frown turns into a smile. Now that's service. I got into this business 40 years ago because I loved the process of creating a smile. So beautiful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, there's 3 service dynamics that relate to this quote from Lao Tzu. And he said, kindness in words creates confidence. Kindness in giving creates love. So here's the 3 service dynamics. The first one's very simple. If we meet somebody's expectations, good food, good service, clean rooms, they're satisfied. If we meet somebody's desires, we create commitment. And a desire might be Pinot tasting along 128, Golden Eye, all these wonderful wineries. Or maybe they want to do a bike ride along Russian Gulch. Or maybe go out on a hike to a waterfall at Russian Gulch. I mean, just these wonderful places in Mendocino that you could really just meet somebody's desires. And then they create this commitment. I got to go back to Mendocino. But the most wonderful service dynamic is trying to figure out somebody's unrecognized need. Because if you can figure that out, you create an evangelist. And let's say through the course of engaging with your guest, you find out the person is a music lover. And they might have always wanted to attend a music festival, to get totally immersed in music. And you're thinking about the Mendocino Music Festival where they could go to open rehearsals in the afternoon and then go to the concert that night. And maybe even while they're shopping at Mendoza's, you might run into Mimi or one of the other musicians. And you think that person says, wow, I've always wanted to do that. I never thought that was a need. Unrecognized need creates evangelists. And that's what we want to have our people talk about this magical Mendocino experience. Well, as we've talked about the service leadership model with all these great principles and values, and these 3 service dynamics, I'm a realist. We could get caught in a tug of war between dealing with business conditions, you got tough stuff you have to deal with, and living our principles and values. And it happened to me at my restaurant in Santa Cruz many years ago. In the interview, I told this busser that part of the uniform was wearing a long sleeve white pressed shirt. That was part of the uniform. Well, he shows up on his first day of work. Guess what? Wrinkled shirt. I mean, I was going to teach that kid how to bust tables, how to set tables. I was already one short. I was saying, what, should I let this kid go out there and work? No, what about this value of, cleanliness and a press shirt? I went back and forth, and I sat the kid down. And I said, listen, it's really important to me that you start off on the right foot. Look at all those other employees. They look great. I'll give you another chance. If you come into work tomorrow with a clean, white, pressed, long-sleeve shirt, you can still have a job. The kid says, what's the matter? Don't you need somebody? I mean, come on, I got a car payment. I said, no, it's really important to me that you start off looking great. Well, the upshot of the story is the kid came back within 45 minutes. He was nervous. He says, is it pressed enough for you? Can I start? He must have gone home and said, Mom, get the iron. This guy is serious. I prevented what I call a roller coaster employee. The employee has the potential to do well, but they go up and down in terms of performance. Well, he stayed with us for 4 years. He was our best busser. Well, it's wonderful to talk about service. I love talking about service. And I'd like to close with some philosophy we all grew up with. Dr. Seuss. And he wrote a great book called The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. And the story is you got to have everybody working together to really deliver this magical Mendocino experience. And here's what the Cat in the Hat says. Oh, the things that they did, and they did them so hard. It was all one big spot now, all over the yard. But the big cat stood there, and he said, this is good. This is what they should do, and I knew they would. With a little more help, all the work will be done. They need one more cat. And I know, just the one. Now look close in my hand. I have a little cat V, and on his head are cats W, X, Y, and Z. Now Z is too small to see, so don't try, you cannot. But Z is the cat who will clean up that spot. Now here is the Z you can't see, said the cat, and I bet you can't guess what he has in his hat. He has something called Voom. Voom is so hard to get, you never saw anything like it, I bet. Why, Voom cleans up anything as clean as can be. And then he yelled, take off your hat now, little cat Z. Take the Voom off your head. Make it clean up the snow. Hurry, you little cat. 1, 2, 3, go, and Voom it wet. Oh, boy. What a Voom. Now, don't ask me what Voom is. I never will know. But, boy, does it ever clean up that snow. Have Voom in delivering that great service and create that magical Mendocino experience for our guests. Thank you very much.